Have you noticed this? You wake up in the morning feeling just fine, but after even a small meal, your stomach suddenly feels tight, bloated, uncomfortable. Many people over 60 quietly tell themselves maybe this is just part of getting older. But here's the truth. It's not. Bloating is not a normal or unavoidable part of aging. As a health professional, I can tell you this. In most cases, ongoing bloating isn't caused by age. It's caused by small daily habits we've been taught to ignore. And the good news, with just a few simple practical adjustments, you can start feeling lighter, more comfortable, and more in control of your body, starting today. If you're over 60 and dealing with bloating more often than before, I want you to hear this clearly first. You're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Your body really does change with age, but understanding how it changes is the first step to feeling better again. Let's start with something most people never talk about. As we age, the stomach naturally produces less stomach acid. This acid plays a crucial role. It breaks down food, especially protein, and prepares it for smooth digestion. When stomach acid is lower, food sits in the stomach longer than it should. It doesn't break down completely. And when partially digested food moves into the intestines, it begins to ferment. That fermentation creates gas. And that gas, that's one of the main reasons your belly now feels tight, swollen, or uncomfortable after meals that never bothered you before. The second change happens a little further down the digestive tract. With age, intestinal movement slows down. The muscles that push food through your system aren't as strong or as coordinated as they once were, so food travels more slowly. Gas has more time to build up, and waste stays in the intestines longer, causing pressure, fullness, and bloating. This is why bloating often comes with constipation or that heavy, sluggish feeling in the abdomen. Now let's talk about something incredibly important, your gut bacteria. Inside your digestive system live trillions of bacteria. Some are helpful, some are not. As we get older, the balance of these bacteria can shift. Beneficial bacteria may decrease while gas-producing bacteria increase. This change can make digestion more sensitive, more unpredictable, and more reactive to foods you've eaten your whole life. That brings us to a question many people ask: why do the same foods cause bloating now when they never used to? The answer is simple. Your digestive environment has changed. Foods like bread, dairy, beans, vegetables, or even fruit aren't suddenly bad foods. But when digestion is slower, stomach acid is lower, and gut bacteria are out of balance, those same foods can produce more gas than before. It's not your fault, and it doesn't mean you have to give up everything you enjoy. What it does mean is that your body is asking for a different kind of support now. The goal isn't restriction. The goal is working with your body, not against it. And the good news is this: once you understand what's really happening inside, there are gentle, practical ways to support digestion at this stage of life. Ways that don't involve harsh medications, ways that don't require extreme diets, and ways that can help you feel lighter, calmer, and more comfortable again. In the next part, I'll show you exactly what those simple adjustments are and how to start reducing bloating naturally, step by step. Now let's talk about one of the most common mistakes I see after age 60, and it often comes from doing something we believe is healthy: eating raw vegetables. For decades, we've been told raw is better, raw is cleaner, raw vegetables are the healthiest choice. And when we're younger, that's often true. But after 60, your digestive system plays by different rules. Here's what most people don't realize. Raw vegetables are packed with insoluble fiber. This type of fiber is tough, it's rigid, and it requires strong stomach acid and active digestion to break it down properly. Earlier, we talked about how stomach acid naturally declines with age. So when raw vegetables enter a digestive system that's already slower and gentler, they don't break down the way they used to. Instead, they move into the intestines partially digested. And this is where the problem begins. Those undigested fibers become food for gut bacteria. The bacteria ferment them, and fermentation creates gas. That gas builds up. It stretches the intestines. And suddenly your belly feels swollen, tight, and uncomfortable, even though you ate something healthy. This is why so many people say, I eat salads every day, but I feel bloated all the time. It's not because vegetables are bad. It's because raw vegetables may no longer be the right form for your body. Now, here's the important shift. Cooking vegetables doesn't make them unhealthy. In fact, after 60, it often makes them more digestible, more nourishing, and far gentler on your system. When vegetables are cooked, whether steamed, sautéed, roasted, or simmered, their fibers soften, cell walls break down, nutrients become easier to absorb, and your digestive system doesn't have to work nearly as hard. Less strain, less fermentation, less gas. Let me give you some simple examples. Instead of a raw kale salad, try lightly sautéed kale with olive oil. Instead of raw carrots, choose steamed or roasted carrots. Instead of cold broccoli florets, opt for warm, well-cooked broccoli or zucchini. Even onions, which are notorious for causing gas, are much easier to tolerate once cooked. You're not removing vegetables from your diet. You're simply changing how they arrive in your digestive system. And here's something encouraging. Many people notice a difference very quickly. Within a few days, sometimes even after the first couple of meals, they report feeling lighter, less pressure, less bloating, less need to unbutton their pants after eating. This isn't a long-term experiment. It's a gentle adjustment with fast feedback. I want to be very clear about something. This is not about giving up health, and it's not about eating old-fashioned. It's about respecting where your body is now, not where it was 30 or 40 years ago. Your digestive system isn't broken. It's simply asking for food in a form it can handle with ease. So if you're dealing with daily bloating and your plate is full of raw vegetables, this one simple swap, raw to cooked, may be one of the most powerful changes you can make. And the best part, you don't need supplements. You don't need medication. You don't need extreme diets. Just warmth, softness, and a little kindness toward your digestion. In the next part, we'll look at another surprising food habit that quietly contributes to bloating after 60 and how to fix it without giving up the foods you love. Now let's talk about another food group that causes daily bloating for many people after 60, dairy. Milk in the morning, cheese with meals, ice cream as a treat. For many of us, dairy has been part of life for decades. So when bloating shows up, dairy is often the last thing people suspect. Here's what's really happening. As we age, the body naturally produces less lactase. Lactase is the enzyme responsible for breaking down lactose, the natural sugar found in milk and many dairy products. When lactase levels drop, lactose isn't fully digested in the small intestine. Instead, it moves into the colon. And once again, gut bacteria step in and ferment it. That fermentation produces gas, and that gas leads to bloating. Now here's something important. Many people think lactose intolerance always causes pain, cramping, or diarrhea. But after 60, that's not always the case. For many people, the only symptom is bloating. No sharp pain, no obvious reaction, just a slow, uncomfortable swelling of the abdomen after meals that include dairy. So people keep eating the same foods, wondering why their stomach feels heavy and tight by evening. Let's talk about better options, because this is not about eliminating dairy completely. It's about choosing easier to digest forms. Fermented dairy is a great place to start. Foods like plain yogurt, kefir, and aged cheeses have already had much of their lactose broken down during the fermentation process. That means less work for your digestive system and far less gas production. Another helpful option is lactose-free milk. It's real milk, just with the lactose already broken down for you. For many people, this simple switch makes a noticeable difference within just a few days. Now let's clear up a few common mistakes. First, cheese. Not all cheese is equal. Soft, fresh cheeses like cream cheese, cottage cheese, and ricotta still contain more lactose and can easily trigger bloating. Hard, aged cheeses like cheddar, Parmesan, or Swiss are much lower in lactose and are often better tolerated. Second, milk. Large glasses of regular milk, especially on an empty stomach, are one of the fastest ways to create bloating after 60. Even if you've always tolerated milk, your digestion may be telling a different story now. And one more thing. Many people switch to dairy alternatives, but unknowingly choose products filled with gums, sweeteners, and added fibers that can also cause bloating. So if you choose plant-based options, keep them simple. Short ingredient lists. No unnecessary additives. I want to emphasize this. If dairy causes bloating for you now, it doesn't mean your body is failing you. It means your body has changed and it's asking for a little adjustment. And when you listen, the response can be surprisingly quick. Less pressure, less swelling, and a calmer, more comfortable digestion throughout the day. In the next part, we'll look at another everyday habit that quietly contributes to bloating after 60, and how a simple change in timing and portions can make a big difference. Now let's talk about another everyday food group that quietly contributes to bloating after 60: wheat-based foods. Bread, pasta, crackers, cereal. These foods are deeply woven into daily life, especially in Western diets. And when bloating starts, many people are told they must cut gluten completely. But I want to be very clear with you. This is not about extreme restriction, and it's not about labeling foods as bad. Here's what's really happening inside your body. Wheat contains complex carbohydrates and certain fibers that are harder to break down, especially in a digestive system that's already slower with age. When wheat-based foods move through the gut more slowly, they spend more time sitting in the intestines. And just like we've talked about before, more time means more fermentation. That fermentation produces gas, and gas leads to bloating. This also explains something many people notice. Bloating is often worse in the evening. You may feel fairly normal during the day, but by nighttime, your abdomen feels swollen, heavy, or tight. That's because wheat-based foods eaten earlier have been fermenting for hours in a slower digestive system. It's not the last meal of the day that's always the problem. It's the buildup. Now let's talk about what to do instead. The goal is not to eliminate carbohydrates. Your body still needs them for energy. The goal is to choose easier to digest carbohydrates. For many people, this can include white rice instead of bread or pasta, potatoes or sweet potatoes instead of crackers, oats instead of cold cereal, rice noodles instead of wheat pasta. These foods break down more gently and tend to move through the digestive system with less gas production. Another simple strategy is adjusting portion size and timing. Large servings of wheat at dinner often create the most bloating. So instead of a big plate of pasta at night, try having wheat-based foods earlier in the day or in smaller portions. Then choose lighter, simpler carbohydrates for the evening meal. Now here's the most important part. You don't need to guess. You can test your body's response. For 1 week, replace wheat-based foods with easier carbohydrates. Pay attention, not just to your stomach, but to how your clothes fit, how your energy feels in the evening, and how comfortable your abdomen feels before bed. Then, if you choose, slowly reintroduce wheat in small amounts and notice the difference. Your body will give you clear feedback if you listen. And remember this, if wheat causes bloating for you now, it doesn't mean you've suddenly developed a disease. It simply means your digestion has changed, and it needs a gentler approach. Small changes, flexible choices, no extreme rules. In the next part, we'll step away from food entirely and talk about daily habits that can either worsen bloating or help your digestion work more smoothly, starting with something almost everyone overlooks. At this point, you might be thinking, this all makes sense, but it feels like a lot to change. And that's completely understandable. So let me be very clear right now. You do not need to fix everything at once, and you do not need to change your entire diet overnight. In fact, trying to do too much, too fast, is one of the most common reasons people give up. The easiest way to apply these changes is simple. 1 food swap per week. Just 1. Start with the change that feels the easiest for you, maybe cooked vegetables instead of raw, or lactose-free dairy, or switching wheat for easier carbohydrates. Give your body time to respond. Now here's something very important. Instead of focusing on rules, focus on signals. After each meal, quietly ask yourself, do I feel light or heavy? Comfortable or tight, calm or bloated? These post-meal signals are your body's way of communicating with you. And after 60, listening becomes far more powerful than forcing. Let's also talk about a few common mistakes to avoid. First, changing too many foods at once. When everything changes, it becomes impossible to know what actually helped. Second, expecting perfection. Occasional bloating does not mean failure. It means you're learning. Third, ignoring stress. Eating while rushed, tense, or distracted can slow digestion just as much as the wrong food. So slow down. Sit comfortably. Breathe before you eat. Now, when should you expect results? Many people notice small improvements within just a few days. Less pressure, less tightness, and more comfort after meals. More consistent relief usually appears within 2 to 3 weeks as the digestive system adapts. This is not an instant fix, but it is a gentle, sustainable one. I want you to remember this. You're not trying to control your body, you're learning to work with it. And when you do that, bloating often begins to fade, not because you forced it away, but because your digestion finally feels supported. In the final part, we'll talk about when bloating may be a sign to look deeper and how to know when it's time to seek additional support. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Bloating after 60 is common, but it is not inevitable. It is not something you simply have to live with. And it is not a sign that your body is failing you. More often than not, it's a sign that your body is changing and asking for a gentler kind of support. Today, we talked about just 3 simple food shifts: choosing cooked vegetables instead of raw, switching from regular dairy to easier to digest options, and replacing wheat-based foods with carbohydrates that are kinder to a slower gut. These are not extreme changes. They are not strict rules. They are small adjustments designed to work with your body, not against it. And remember, you don't need to do everything at once. Start with one change, 1 week, one small experiment. Listen to how your body responds. Notice how you feel after meals. That awareness alone can begin to shift your digestion in a powerful way. You deserve to feel comfortable in your body. You deserve to enjoy food without fear of bloating. And you deserve clear, calm guidance, not confusion or guilt. If this video helped you understand your body a little better, I invite you to stay connected, subscribe or follow so you don't miss future videos where we'll continue exploring simple, age-appropriate ways to support digestion, comfort, and overall well-being. Take it slow, be kind to your body, and remember, small changes done gently can make a very real difference.